All right, Brett, thank you for joining me today here, my friend. So for those that are listening in, if you could briefly describe your name, your operation, and a little bit about yourself.
My name is Brett Murray. I'm the owner of Murray Hay and Cattle, first generation farming operation out of Lebanon, Oregon. We're in the Willamette Valley, grass seed capital of the world. We grow grass seed. We raise red Angus seed stock. We have a hay company. We used to have a trucking company as well. We've shut that down, and we hire that portion done at this point. Currently, we cover about a little over 1,500 acres between grass seed, row crops, pastures, and keep all that managed and in production. Well, we do grow hay as well. We bring a fair amount of hay in. So we produce and then the hay company gets supply from other growers. We've been dealing with had the hay company for 16 years now. So
how many team members do you got running?
Including myself, I have 4. My dad's worked for me for a little over 11 years now. And then we have Brad and Jake, who've been with us quite a while. Yeah, we got a pretty good team in place. We bring on some seasonal help, rake drivers and stuff for summer work. But yeah, that's the main crew that's here every day of the week.
Got a big operation, and then plus team members on the side to manage there. So what would you say, Brett, like coming into Legacy Farmer, what was the biggest reason for you saying, hey, I need to do something different?
Lack of organization was huge. But I guess kind of coming to the realization that I wasn't as good as I could be as a boss and at operating this business. I would like to think that I was pretty good at being an owner operator when I was running a truck by myself. Was very successful at it, worked hard and did well. When you start adding team members and the business grows, and sometimes it grows, I guess, faster than you can. I just felt like there was help out there, and that I needed it for improvement, and just kind of freeing up time and being more efficient and everything. Seemed like we were wasting time doing simple tasks due to my old methods or unimproved methods. And we finally reached out to you guys for some help. And
did it ever feel like you were stuck and just didn't have any clear direction, really how to move forward? You maybe wanted to, but didn't know exactly how to move forward.
Oh, definitely. All the time. The biggest one was how to structure things, how to separate companies properly, so we had a clearer picture. As I mentioned, we run, we're farming, we custom harvest, we have cattle, we have a hay company, we had a trucking company. You have all these things. At the end of the day, you had a profit, but you'd have no idea where it came from. And so you don't know what's doing good, what's doing bad, and you're so busy doing all of it. There's no time to figure it out with the way it was structured.
How many guys do you think have 2 or 3 different companies that they're trying to, make a profit or grow the operation, but yet they have no clue? Or maybe they're just robbing Peter to pay Paul from business to business to cover expenses that different businesses have, but trying to cover it with another business, just hoping to get through to the end of the year.
Oh, I think there's plenty. I think there's a lot of us in agriculture. I mean, it's there's a lot of people in ag that have off-farm jobs, and and we all know they're robbing from that, but to keep going. But when you have multiple companies, we've learned how important it is to get the picture of each one and kind of see exactly how they're doing, and not just having a general idea of it in your head. I mean, having an actual picture, real numbers, what actually happened, because you forget things. You forget that I mean, when you take a load of cows in and you get a big check, you forget about all those little checks you wrote prior to, if you're not keeping track of them. And if they all just fall into some farm expense that Just because the farm made money doesn't mean the cows made money. It doesn't mean we get rid of cows necessarily, but it means maybe we reevaluate how we're doing it. But you can't reevaluate it without proper numbers.
Proper numbers.
Yeah. It just doesn't. It can't happen. So having these clear pictures is extremely important. But back to what you mentioned earlier on getting stuck on things, we've been stuck on legacy planning. As far as succession, just current liability and how to structure companies properly. Been stuck on that for years, literally years. Just didn't know. You get advice. Your lawyer says one thing, your accountant says another. Just did not have a clear path. And doing that kind of research in your spare time while you're running 5 companies, you don't have that much spare time. It just doesn't happen. So you end up not doing it. And here he's been 2 years of wasted time on this. And, then we end up at Legacy Farmer, and there's a clear path, and it makes sense. It's not just a path. Hey, do it this way. It's do it like this, and this is why. And then also the ability to reach out through each process and get the help you need. And you move forward so much quicker. I wouldn't be done researching something or figuring out if that's the proper direction by the time I'd be 5 steps ahead with you guys, because I have a question, I get an answer. It's almost immediate, if not, very fast, next day for sure. There's just no holdups in the process. You get onto a task and you can complete it, and then it's done. You can move on.
How frustrating is it to reach out for help, whether it's an accountant, whether it's with your banker, and to not get a response, just get an answer back, even if they are busy. Okay. How frustrating is it to not get a response back for 2 to 3 days or a week in some cases?
Yeah, extremely, because you're on to something else. And in this business, we're so weather dependent that, when I ask the question, it's because the weather is allowing me to do this kind of work. When the sun comes out, we need to be in the field. That's why we do all this. So we can't spend all our time in the office, but when we have that time, it's extremely important that we're efficient with it, because we need to get back out in the field.
You'll notice Jace here has built out systems and processes in place. So us as a team can get back to you guys, have the communication system there. So when questions do come up, our whole team can look at those questions and get back to you guys right away. That's the biggest, thing that I feel egg is really missing, is that customer service piece, right? A couple hours, even, do our best to get back within, 10, 15 minutes, but get that answer to a person, because on the other end of it, guess what? That person's wanting to get their problem solved. And they've got how many different problems come up throughout the day. You might be focused on that problem right now, needing a question from your accountant, right? You might get a phone call, though, 15 minutes later from a team member. You've got to go run out and do something. Guess where your mind's at then? It's back on, what is the current problem then? So getting that, response back, that's something we really pride getting you guys to, because of how the dynamics of a farmer is today. Like, it's just the dynamics of it, and get that back as soon as possible.
Definitely.
So what's been the biggest thing that has changed for you? So we came in and you notice we lead you guys through this process of not only focusing on what the biggest problems and challenges are each person comes into. We got some members in where there could be a 3, 4, 5,000 acre operation and still be running everything through their personal name yet. Sole proprietor, no protection, no nothing. So each person comes into Legacy Farmer with a different problem and a different challenge. And we really highlight that in our first onboarding calls. And like you mentioned earlier, getting the systems and processes in place to track this. So for you, let's start with personally. What has it done for you to get some of these systems and processes in place to allow you to move and grow the operation in the direction that you want it to head in? Like, what's been the biggest thing there for you?
I think the organization pieces, it was the biggest, and it just, for one, you have a sense of accomplishment, and these are problems we've been dealing with for years and didn't have a solution, and now all of a sudden we have one. But then immediately it frees up your time, and you can get back to, a little bit of spare time. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, we all need it. I like my kids. I'd like to spend time with them. Didn't have any time. There just wasn't any. You'd barely make it in for dinner and maybe go back out to the office after that. Well, now we just go in for dinner. The day's done. We got plenty done. We have a plan. It got accomplished. And now we get some spare time. And that's been extremely nice. Not only we're seeing it, not only personally, but the family as well. Everybody's kind of enjoying that it's not the way it was. It's just there's a lot less stress, and getting as much stress out. The more organization we put in, the more stress leaves just naturally.
What does it mean to you to have that time back with your kids and family?
That's a pretty big deal. It makes it for us. I can see these kids starting to enjoy this lifestyle again. And I think they were losing it. I mean, I really do. Too much stress. Dad's always grumpy. Had plenty of reasons to be grumpy, but it doesn't transfer, and there's no, it doesn't do anything for your legacy. That's for sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to come back to the farm that we had 3-4 years ago. I mean, not at all. Just too much stress. There'd be no point. I mean, it took all the fun out of it. All the enjoyment that can be from this lifestyle was buried in stress
and emotions and frustration, resentment, all of those things get bundled up. And as soon as like the problem, here's the thing is, as soon as a kid, you have all of this bundled up throughout the day, right? All the anger, frustration with team members, everybody that you have, that you've got going on that doesn't work. The moment that your kid flips out though, guess where that anger gets lashed out on? Your kids, right? And then as a parent, you are so freaking guilty because of that, but you literally can't control it because the emotions, and this is what people don't talk about or give space to, is how much stress each farmer is put under. And we don't give ourselves the ability to open up to that possibility of what could be better if we did have some systems or processes in place. And it's just a really challenging thing that a lot of guys feel stuck into. Just feel stuck that it has to be this way just because dad did it a certain way, granddad did it a certain way. Like there's a new possibility here for a person to really create the environment for their kids and their family to create this legacy where you're going to have these values and kind of a different operating system that your kids will not forget. Like you are almost leaving your legacy in your kids. Yes, the assets, the land, we're passing that on. That's important. But how about the family aspect that we're passing on? Remembering exactly what kind of dad Brett was.
Yeah. The family and these operations that we're improving right now through Legacy Farmer and putting in place. These are things that that's how they're going to learn how to operate and do it better and have, I mean, you can leave them as much land and equipment and, zero debt. And if they don't know how to operate it properly, they'll screw it up. Yeah. I mean, that has to be a component of this, that they almost grow up learning. And they weren't learning it the right way. Now they are, and we're happy about that.
So last question. So somebody who has been following along with Legacy Farmer, they've been listening to the podcast, the YouTube videos, and something has sparked interest to them, but yet they still just will not take the plunge. What would you say to somebody who is sitting on the fence right now and considering taking the jump into Legacy Farmer?
Well, I sat there for probably at least a year, if not more. Same thing, just, watching, the Facebook ads and the YouTube videos. And it was extremely interesting, but just for some reason didn't take it, wasn't ready or didn't make the time, probably was all it was. I'd say don't wait. I mean, we've had nothing but positive experiences since we've done it. Things just got better. I imagine some people are, worried about the money aspect of it, and it's worth every penny and more. I mean, you can sit down. You can't get this advice from you'd have to get it for one in 4 different places. Each one of them is going to charge you more money than this combined for sure. I mean, this is just, it's a really good deal. And I think the biggest one for me is you're dealing with people that have an ag background. They know this business, they know the lifestyle. And so they're not only sending you in the right direction, business wise, legally, financially, all these. They also have that fourth component that you can't get from your CPA. You rarely get it from your banker. You can't get it from your lawyer. I mean, there's no farmer lawyers out there, very few. They don't understand all of this. They just understand paper, and there's not the connection that ag has to its business really anywhere else. And that's what you get with Legacy Farmer, is a connection to ag and a really well laid out plan on how to move forward.
And that's really the mindset we all have. We're all business owners. Yeah. Jace, you know, going through the bank and his process, starting Legacy Farmer, you know, me growing up on the farm, having my own operation, Joni and Becca and Holly, same thing. Husbands are all farmers and ranchers. So they know, they're all business owners. They all have the risk, everything on the line. They get exactly, when they're talking to you across the screen there, knowing exactly what it's like to have the books, to keep up with that on a monthly basis. Like, they understand that. And I think that's the biggest disconnect you hear us talk about with like the banks or the accountants. A lot of them, they're just W-2 employees, great people. But are they like, when you think about business owners, there's a different weight and a mindset shift that happens. And there's a progression that a true entrepreneur or business owner is after, versus somebody who's just looking forward to 5 o'clock at night. There's a different mindset shift.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well said.